I want to share with you 5 really impactful and very easy tips to help you get to sleep in the healthiest and most optimized way. This answers the question of a lot of you viewers and consumers here at Organixx who are having a challenge with getting your body and your brain to calm down so that you can get optimal sleep. And these 5 tips are going to be very impactful for individuals of all ages. So if you have children that might have this challenge where they're not slowing down, or their body seems like they're awake, but maybe they're a little grumpy and tired, these tips can also be applicable for our younger kids, as well as preteens and teens and young adults. All right, so kicking off with number 1, this is really simple. And it is avoiding blue lights like your phone, your TVs, or any of the electronics that you might be using or working on within 2 hours of bedtime. And I recommend getting these blue light blocking glasses. And so these are a non-prescription glasses. These happen to be one of, I think, 5 pairs that I have. I have them everywhere. And what these allow you to do, if you do have to work or you're checking your phone, or even if you prefer to watch TV at night, when you wear these, it minimizes the impact of the blue light. And the blue light, these blocking glasses, they have these for kids as well. So if kids are using iPads or they're working on computers for homework, have them put on their glasses from 6 p.m. until bedtime. So by wearing blue light blocking glasses, or even putting a little screen on your computer, they have those you can grab easily on Amazon. By wearing these, it helps to minimize the impact of the TV or the phone or the iPad light in affecting your sleep cycle. And so the first thing is that blocking process is really stopping the impact of blue light that might keep you awake longer than what you prefer. So again, 6 p.m. and on, wear these. These are non-prescription, super easy to grab. You can find these at your pharmacies, online, but really great, the blue light blocking glasses. Now, the second thing is to set your temperature, and I love to automate this function because it's super easy, but you want to be sleeping in, ideally, the low 70s, high 60s. That ideal temperature range for optimal sleep is 68 to 72. Now, this depends on your budget, where you live, humidity levels, all different factors, but that temperature we find is ideal for good, restorative, rejuvenative sleep. And it's a part of that getting to sleep better when you're under your blankets and you're feeling cozy, it signals to the brain to go to sleep. Now, third is an assortment of supplementation. Sometimes we need assistance, and the assistance comes in the way of assorted herbals and minerals that can support your body's natural downgrading and getting into the sleep cycle. So we have that circadian rhythm. Basically, it's the day and night rhythm. We want to be ideally most awake in the morning, and we start to see the circadian rhythm drop, and it's at its lowest point right before we are going to bed and engaging in sleep. So I first reach for Organixx Magnesium 7. Magnesium, especially now we have the 7 assorted magnesium types and forms, they're going to target different body systems. And magnesium has been clinically studied to help calm our central nervous system and eases the whole sleep cycle. So magnesium is great if individuals find that they have insomnia or just that difficulty getting to sleep. Magnesium is great. So again, that's the Magnesium 7 here at Organixx. Now, sometimes we need some herbals, and I love to incorporate herbals, very central nervous system calming herbals like passion flower and valerian. You can find these in teas. And I also like to add in a holy basil. That is an adaptogenic, stress reducing, cortisol lowering adaptogen. And I grabbed this from my medicine cabinet. I drink tea a lot. I'm a tea lover, and I have different teas that I drink throughout the day. In the later part of the evening, after dinner, I will brew up a Tulsi sleep tea. I'll brew up a valerian sleepy time tea, and also just a passion flower tea. Sometimes you can get loose leaf passion flower at your bulk natural stores and online. So you can blend those also. You can make your own kind of sleepy time tea combo. But those are very impactful for just calming the system, helping slow things down, drop that circadian rhythm so that the body's entering into that lower phase circadian rhythm so that we have the sleep cycle kicking off in the right form. This is critical. I'm going to share additional tips in future video content where I'm going to share with you how to stay asleep fully, so not wake up during the middle of the night, and how to wake up refreshed. But the kicking off, getting your body and the central nervous system balanced and lowered is really critical. Now, often I get asked, hey, Dr. Melissa, what are your thoughts about melatonin? Because that often gets billed as a neurotransmitter focused supplement that can help balance sleep. And even GABA falls into that category. I recommend, before using melatonin or GABA that you're going to often find in some natural sleep aids, I recommend having your neurotransmitters tested, because too much melatonin actually will keep you awake and it won't help you sleep solidly. So melatonin is one of those things where I use sparingly. I use it specifically. I want to have more clinical data, i.e. labs, to understand where your values are, because sometimes we might have to trim your melatonin or elevate the balance of other neurotransmitters to ease that increase in melatonin that might be causing your brain to race before you go to bed. Number 4 is this amazing natural therapeutic that involves flowers. And this might sound a little like, okay, what in the world are flowers going to have to do with sleeping better and actually getting to sleep easily? I'm going to share with you a therapy that a psychiatrist analyzed in a psychiatric hospital 100 years ago, that when psychiatric patients were brought out into the garden, if they were parked, their chairs or their wheelchairs were parked near certain plants or trees, that they started to have some emotional relief, and they started to see and notice changes in their outlook, and even patients rebounded from whatever diagnosis or mental illness they had. Well, fast forward to lots of research and identifying the different flowers that are associated with emotional challenges or our emotions connect to certain flowers. And so what this therapy is, it's called Bach Flower Remedies or Bach Flower Therapy. And it is incorporating specific flowers that can ease stress, can calm the mind. This is really, really impactful. And what I recommend for any of my patients that are going to usually tell me, Dr. Melissa, I'm always physically tired, but my brain is wired. I'm thinking about my day. I'm rehashing meetings, or, oh, I could have said whatever with so-and-so, or I'm running through the list. And your brain is awake, but your body's really ready to go to sleep. But the brain is wired. It's alert. Bach Flowers, and I'm going to share with you, it comes in an assortment of remedy forms. This happens to be a pastel. I have one I can show you. It's a little like suck on, and you put it in your mouth and suck on it like you would a lozenge. They also have sprays. They also have drops. They have non-alcoholic drops for kids. They even have this for pets. And I'm going to share with you, there are 5 particular flower types that are in the overall remedy. This is going to categorically address stress, emotional trauma, grief. It addresses the general state of folks that have that mind that's awake. And how we use Bach Flower Remedies is to begin taking either a few sprays or a few drops an hour before the desired bedtime. And what my patients experience instantaneously is a releasing of that mind going. And it just calms down the mind so that you're not thinking about the list. You're not thinking about the meeting tomorrow. You're not thinking about the meetings from today or the conversation with your spouse or your kids. Those all go away, and the emotions just root so that the body can sleep. It's by far one of my most spectacular remedies and resources for folks that have a hard time getting to sleep, and it's the brain that's going. It's not always the body that's a challenge, but it's the brain, and it's the thinking, a constant thought pattern. Okay, so last and final I want to share with you is really setting the right tone for the sleep environment. I call this the right bedroom environment, meaning is your bedroom space ideal for optimal sleep? And there's several kind of steps to this, but I want you to kind of assess, and even some of my patients, I'm having them take pictures from different angles of their bedroom. And I want to make sure that we have no clutter in the bedroom. I want to make sure there's nothing being packed or stuffed underneath the bed. I want to make sure that their beds are made when they're getting into bed. It's really nice, clean, crisp sheets, because you're not having to worry about a messed up bed. But more importantly, I want to make sure we don't have a TV in the bedroom. I want to make sure that the bed itself is comfortable and conducive for the right sleep environment. Meaning, how do your sheets feel? Are they the right thread count? Are they breathable? Are you under enough or too many blankets? What's your pillow like? Are you dealing with a pillow that might be causing you to wake up or just cause you discomfort? I also like to have patients who need that extra support to getting them to go to sleep. I incorporate a weighted blanket. This really targets folks that have anxiety, just underlying anxiety and even depression. Weighted blankets have a ton of research. They come in different weights and sizes. They have little, younger kiddo ones to teens and adult versions. But my weighted blanket, it's 15 pounds. Brian calls it my iron curtain because I have it just on my side. And it is glorious. It just feels like I'm like a snug little bug in my bed. And it just is like, I bring it up to here and it just feels like you're being hugged. That action of the weight on the body is a sensory signaling. It creates sensory signals that literally calms the mind, calms the body. We have hormones that get produced, happy, healthy, good, sleep-inducing hormones that come from the activity of being in a weighted blanket. Now, if any of you are parents, think about when you brought your newborn home from the hospital. The effort was to kind of create that fourth trimester where you really kind of swaddled them and, have them wrapped up where they felt like they were still inside their mother's uterus. Weighted blankets kind of take us back to that primal state as humans. And it's very effective for getting somebody to sleep better and faster. So that is a game changer, total game changer. The other thing is I want to look at what is the sleep clothing that you're wearing. Are you wearing breathable clothing? For some of my patients that might experience night sweats, I want to make sure we're wearing wicking, bamboo related night clothing and nightwear, shirts, tank tops, camis for ladies, and pants for men. But I want to make sure that sweat is not going to cause you grief in getting to sleep, because that can be a big factor. Getting into bed and all of a sudden you're sweating. You're not going to be comfortable, even if that temperature is 68 degrees in your bedroom. The other thing is to deploy white noise via an air filter. This kind of is one of those things where I'm using this tool as a way to create a space where your body is not being bombarded by allergens, dust, as well as enhances that whole airflow so that we're not maximizing or you're not experiencing inflammation. That will register when you wake up, puffy eyes, gunkiness in your nose. So that's really important to look at, maybe adding a white noise machine. That's another way the brain just kind of zeroes in on it and just lulls you into a sleep. It's almost like when babies and young toddlers are driving around in a car. I mean, it's like magic. That was actually what we'd have to drive him around today, have him take a nap. And so white noise is highly effective now he's older, but adults can benefit from that white noise. And I just like to blend that where let's have your air filter, good, clean, HEPA, high quality air filter, maybe even with a little UV, have that function as your white noise machine. And then last and final, environmental wise, I want to make sure we're also emitting good negative ions into your air via a Himalayan salt lamp. as well as maybe having a green plant like a lily. I love lilies in the bedroom. They're very oxygenating and they clean the air. That's really important though. Just have that nice, clean, crisp environment where it's just soothing. You can even incorporate essential oils. Here at Organixx, we have really wonderful lavender. I love lavender and frankincense. You put those two together on a little cotton ball, and I will stick them on the chakra point. So I'll do one where like your hips might be, mid back, up here around the neck, and then even I'll tuck one in the pillow. Frankincense is very grounding. It'll bring down your energy and it'll root you into that whole circadian rhythm. Lavender is just so calming. So you can incorporate sights, scents, smells, just that feeling of comfort, great sheets, an excellent pillow, weighted blanket, cool temperatures. Very, very impactful for helping you get to sleep better. I hope these 5 tips were helpful. Let us know how you do with them. And if you have any other challenges you want us to address with the sleep cycle, and make sure you subscribe and follow us along here. And as well as read your emails, as well as watch future emails coming out with additional ways to help you sleep better.